Today we have a walkthrough and demo of the Novation Circuit Tracks.
Demo?
No, not demolition, demonstration.
What?
Hello everyone, I'm Tay and this is David. Welcome to Pixel Pro Audio Studios. Today we are showcasing the Novation Circuit Tracks Groovebox. In this video we have walkthroughs of the controls, Novation components, and we are going to make our own songs even to showcase some of these features of the circuit tracks.
And we are both very much novice synth and groovebox players. So this video is tailored towards it's tailored towards the people kind of like us who want to get to know the basic layout, all the controls, and just to see what the CT is capable of.
The CT, huh? Well, I don't know if our audience is ready to give it nicknames yet, but why don't you take us through what all these knobs and buttons and pads are?
Sure, we're at that level. We have nicknames for each other. All right, let's take a quick walkthrough on the circuit tracks. Over here we have our master volume knob. Then we have these 8 knobs that can change the sound of the synthesizers. And as you can see, each of them corresponds directly over a track. We will get to that later, but that's very important. Over here we have our master filter, which gives us a high pass or low pass. Over here we have our pattern settings for note duration and playback options. We have our gate settings and microstep settings. We'll get into that later. We have our velocity settings, which we will also get into later. Here we have the note page, in which the top 2 rows are the sequencer steps, and the bottom 2 rows are the notes we play on the synthesizer or the drum sounds we make. Over here we have presets for different synth sounds and different drum sounds. And up here we have our scale mode, in which we can choose different types of scales, going from major all the way to chromatic. Up here we have our scroll buttons that can be used to change octaves when you're in a synthesizer, or they can be used to scroll through pages. Up here we have our 1 through 16 and 17 through 32 button. This one I like to use a lot. It makes any 16-step sequence instantly 32 steps, and you can scroll through the different pages by just pressing the button. The page you're on is indicated by the blue or orange backlight. Here we have our tempo that can be changed with the oscillator knob, and you'll see a readout here. It defaults to 120, so that's where I will leave it. Then we have our clear button, which can clear any notes we don't like. A duplicate button, which can duplicate an entire sequence to the next page. You can even duplicate entire step sequence pages or even entire patterns to the next block. Here's our save button to save our project. Here's our projects button, and we have the preset projects up here and user projects down here. We can use our scroll buttons to save even more user projects. We have our shift button to bring up alternate options that are written above the buttons. We have our patterns, in which we can create different pattern mixtures. We have our mixer where we can mute all of the tracks and change the volume on each of the tracks. So this is the really important part about the knobs being directly above the tracks. So we have the 8 knobs here, and they are highlighted the same color as the pad below it. To change the volume on a certain track, turn the corresponding knob. Down here we have our effects, which is new to the circuit tracks. We have 16 different delay algorithms, 8 different reverb algorithms, and a master bypass switch. Down here we have record quantize. This allows you to perform while the sequence is playing, and it records to the sequence. If you don't want the record quantize on, but just recording freehand, hold shift and hit record quantize. And of course we have our play button that plays our sequence. Next we have our tracks. You'll see synth 1, synth 2, MIDI 1, MIDI 2, drum 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that was a quick look at the layout of the new circuit tracks from Novation.
All right, thanks David. Well, now for the fun part. We're each gonna make our own song using the CT.
So since I went through all the basic layout and controls, I think you should go first.
No way, you go first.
Age before beauty.
There's only one way to settle this. Rock, paper, scissors, on go.
Okay, all right, here we go.
1, 2, 3, go! Rock never dies.
Well, let's go. All right, now I'm going to make a groove, and I'm going to show you some of the highlight features as I do it. All right, I like to start with my drums, so I will make drum track 1, my kick track. All right, so I'm just gonna program some in here. All right, and I want to make this a 32-step sequence right away. So I'm going to press the 1 through 16, 17 through 32. I can tell it's on page 2 because it is highlighted orange and not blue. When I go back to blue, we see page 1. Now if I just want to duplicate the first page to the second, I hold duplicate, press that button, and there we go. Both pages are now the same. I want to add some flair into this second track though. So let's do some sample flipping. That's when I take another sound and I add it in there. There we go, that's a nice one. Okay, I like that for a kick track. Let's do our snare drum. So drum 2, let's see what we got here. I like that. So I want to play the snare. So I'm going to hit record quantize, and here we go. And let's make this a 32-step sequence right away. So I'm going to hold duplicate, press that. Perfect. Let's go to our hi-hat. I like that. So I can change the sound of each of these drum tracks by modding the top 4 knobs up here. This one is our pitch, this one is our decay, this one is our distortion, and this one is overall EQ. It's like a tilt EQ where you can make it brighter or darker. That's cool. And I think I want to play this. So let's go here. Not really big on that, so let's clear what we've got here and let's try it again. Okay, let's duplicate this. Let's find some auxiliary percussion. That's cool. All right, let's see what we can do with that. Let's make that 32-step sequence right away. Sweet. I'm liking how these drum tracks are turning out so far, but I want to add some flair to the snare drum. I can do that by using micro steps. So we've got our snare track here, and I'm going to go to this gate or micro step button, and each of these steps are broken up into 6 micro steps. So let's go, we are on page 2, perfect. Now this one is only using the first micro step, but if I add all 6 of them in, you're going to hear 6 different notes being played, one after the other. And it's going to sound a little weird, but I want to make it blatantly obvious for you. That's actually kind of cool. So you can get some cool glitchy effects, but I think I just want to do this to get some flams. All right, that sounds cool to me. Let's keep going. Another thing I can do with the snare to add a little spice and flavor is change the velocity of different notes. When you're recording a real drummer, a lot of them like to use ghost notes, so I can program in ghost notes into this. Okay, so let's go to the first page here, and I just want to add a bunch of extra snare hits here, but I don't want them to be loud and obnoxious like this. So what I can do is I can go to this velocity button. The circuit tracks defaults to this velocity on all of the drum hits. If I want to change it, this is just like a level bar, and I can go up or down. I want to make all of these blue hits nice and quiet, so that way it just sounds like a drummer making ghost notes. Let's see what we got. I really like that. I want to add it to the second page as well. I'm not sure about these micro steps. These ones are a bit much. Okay, let's get back to velocity. Well, first let's add in some more snare hits. And one thing I always like to do with my drum tracks is build up to the end. So I'll start with a lower velocity and then build it up to the highest velocity at the end. Okay, so we have our drum tracks. Let's move on to synths. I'm gonna go to preset and just find something that I like for the lead synth. That's cool. I wanna make this a 32-step sequence. Sounds cool to me. Let's get a bass synth going now. That's cool. It might be a little bit much, so I can actually change the parameters of the sound within the preset by using these 8 knobs. Perfect. I'm gonna make this 32 steps right away. So if the bass sounds like it's too high and fighting with the lead synth, I can always drop the octave by scrolling through this octave page. I will have to reprogram it, but as you can hear with each page, it's going up in octave. Before we get into effects, I want to add a little bit more distortion to the snare, just to make it pop a bit more. Sweet. Okay, now we can do effects. So I'm going to press this effects button, and here we have our 16 delay algorithms and our 8 reverb algorithms and our master bypass switch. Just like in the mixer, where you have the corresponding knobs with each track, the same goes for effects. Each knob changes the level of the effect you want on the track you want. You can tell which effect you are adding to each track by the light indicated underneath each knob. The delay is the salmon color. The reverb is the off-white. So let's add some reverb to our snare. The first thing I want to do is just solo my drums here and then scroll through the reverb settings and increase it on my snare drum. Okay, so that's a bit much right now, but I like to overdo it a bit and then dial it back. So I really like that sound. Let's just dial it in now. And I think we can either add some reverb or delay to this aux drum track that I've got here. So let's try reverb first. And just so you're aware, you can only use the one reverb style on all of the tracks. So you get one reverb, and then each of these is like a send to that reverb. I like a little bit of that. Let's try some delay on that now. I think that's getting a bit too messy, so let's just kill the delay for now and leave it with the reverb. All right, now let's add some delay to my lead synth. Again, I overdid it, found the sound I liked, and then dialed it back. That sounds really good. Now, all of these effects are automatable. So I can automate the reverb tails on my snare drum. I can make the bass have a cool delay. So I'll show you how to do that now. To automate the effects, hit record quantize and play, and then turn the effect as it's playing to write in the automation. I'll show you with the snare drum tail. So let's go to a reverb, record quantize, and play. Now I will solo up the drum track so you can hear the reverb tail on the snare. And if you can see here, the light will get brighter as more reverb level is sent. That indicates that the automation is written and you don't have to do anything else with it. So let's automate some delay on our bass, just for fun. It's a little messy, but it's just a demonstration, but I can show you how that sounds in the whole mix. So I'm thinking this is going to make the top 40, so we better save it. To save it, go to Projects. You are already on this highlighted spot. Do not click any of the other pads here or it will get deleted. And just hit Save. Wait for it to flash, and you're good to go.
That was awesome, David. I didn't know you had it in you.
Me neither. So my part's done. It turned out pretty cool. So you are up next. What do you got?
I've got something special planned for you, but you're gonna have to wait a little bit. We're gonna stop the video right now, but more is coming. In part 2, I will be showing you Novation components and cooking up my own little jam.
So catch up with us in part 2. If you like my groove, be sure to leave a thumbs up on the video down below because it really helps out the channel.
Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next part.
Another thing I can do with the snare drum is talk to that camera. So I think this is a really good time to start adding effects. So I think we're at a good time to start doing our effects. Boom. All right, so let's take a quick walkthrough through the circuit tracks. That was a lot of throughs. What should I say at the end there? I need another shot of coffee. I gotta save it. Showing you some highlights and tips and tricks. Keep watching. Stay tuned. So let's mess with the scales until we find something that sounds cool. I think I just like the original the best, but there were some cool options in there if you want to do something that sounds like you're running a seance or something, some kind of ritual.